All right, here we are at the Miles of Smiles, Crystal Clear Point Studios, and I've had a crisis today, and Lou and Dr. Matthew have sat through here and totally ignored me while I dealt with my crisis. So much for
No, we
empathy
just
and
talked about you
sympathy.
behind your back because you couldn't hear anything. So
Well, you know what? Join the club. There are so many out there in front of you. I seem to be the topic of discussion for several people lately. I am so popular.
It's a good thing.
So we have Lulu Morris and we have Dr. Matthew Pierce. And how would you describe what we're going to talk about today, Miss
Well,
Lou?
just the article I read was about doomsday conspiracies, and I thought, well, maybe we need to talk about, are there any conspiracies that we believe in, and maybe some of the ones that are on our minds sometimes. And what it said about this doomsday conspiracy theories is that they're so involved in it. It's like, hi, how are you today? Uh, Even though the apocalypse is around the corner, it's always something negative tagged on to uh, whatever they say.
Why
And
are we fascinated with doomsday? Let's talk about it because I even am of the idea. Okay, this is going to get me some hate mail if anybody listens to it. I think the book of Revelation should be taken out of the Bible. It serves no purpose. It serves absolutely no purpose except to scare the bejesus out of people when we're trying to put the bejesus in people. It doesn't make sense. It leaves so here's what gets me. It leaves so much room for interpretation, and then it says, but if you interpret it wrong, you're doomed.
church left it in there just to make sure that people had like a concept of what could possibly happen, And the thing is, we're talking about the doomsday and everything. You know what? People are going to have their own notions about what the end of the world is going to be like, what, the doomsday is going to be, so on and so forth. Um, it's funny because there's a show called Good Omens. It's about the angel and about the demon,
I'm
and
reading
they're
that
talking
book right
about,
now.
oh my gosh, the show is amazing, okay? Because it just shows like how, everything is taken out of context. And, it's like, well, what happens if the Antichrist, was actually given to good people? The son of the son of Antichrist is given to good people, and he was raised really, really good with having morals and, wanting to be a good kid and,
Hmm.
all this other stuff. But no, he's supposed to be the Antichrist, and then you have the other one that was supposed to be evil and everything else like that, and was given to apathetic parents that didn't really care for him at all, and he's just like, eh, I'd rather play my Game Boy. And it's
Well,
like,
here's what gets me. The Antichrist, he couldn't even have his own name. It was a play upon, I mean, the whole thing just boggles my mind. It really does. Not that I don't believe in good and evil, I do. And not that I don't have a propensity to basic Christian values, I do. But I don't understand this fascination with conspiracy theories at all because as individuals, we don't have any control over any of that. We just
well,
don't.
that was my take on the whole article. How can you live in the moment and be in your life now when you're trying to plan for the worst case
mhm.
scenario?
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, it doesn't serve your purpose to be negative about what's going to happen tomorrow because tomorrow never comes.
Well, and don't get me wrong, if there's a zombie apocalypse or whatever that comes our way, I would like to survive, you know?
Yeah.
And okay, so I'll tell a little story of myself. I grew up in Arkansas, and Arkansas is full of these hills and little mountains, and it's full of these caves. And I've been to many, many of them, and I have some of that are my favorite. And in my contacts on Google is the path to righteousness, and it's like 5 different ways to get out of Dallas County if there's an apocalypse, so I can get to the caves.
I love that.
I
I
don't
love
read it
that.
every day, and I don't go and obsess over it. I just
But she
thought,
has every single one programmed into her GPS on her car, so she can
Yes.
just hit one button.
oh
Yes.
no, I don't. That GPS sucks. I'm going to tell you what, that is of the devil. GPS Waze and Google Maps, they are of the devil. They are, they are the original Antichrist because they
Well,
will take. you the long way every time.
Sunday, Waze took me every side street imaginable between here and Circle Cafe, where I met Matthew.
Y'all had a
It
date
took,
without me.
yeah.
I told you about it. I told you I was meeting Luann
I
to go
know,
over
but I
products and labeling
just
and
wanted
everything
to
else.
bitch. I just wanted to
Okay.
bitch.
Okay. You're
Don't
allowed
take
to.
my fun away. Don't take my fun away.
You're allowed to bitch. Go right ahead. You go
No,
right
I'm
ahead.
glad y'all did that. I had a great Sunday, but we went to Easter sunrise services out at White Rock Lake,
Mhm.
and it was phenomenal. But here's what's funny. It was two churches combined sharing the services, and they had this wonderful black female preacher. And the reason I'm mentioning her color before anybody gets all bent out of shape is that she says, "Okay, can I get an amen out of this group?" And what she said was, quiet churches make me nervous, because one of the groups was from a Baptist church. And Baptists, we don't even fart in church. You just don't make noise in church. I thought she says white churches make me nervous. And I started hooting and hollering and laughing and clapping and going, "Amen, sister, amen." And my husband's going, she said quiet, because he knew what I thought. She said quiet, not white. It was good either way. It was good either way. It moved me. Oh my God, we've already digressed. We're what, 2 minutes into the
2
Well,
minutes in.
so one of the conspiracy theories that I'm not sure I really played into it, but it always boggles my mind is the one about Kennedy being shot
Mhm.
and who did it.
Which one? Which one did you?
Well, there's one about the mafia. There's one about uh, people who were running against him. I mean, which one? Choose it.
Well,
Well,
there's
it
also,
seems odd that the
I
mafia
mean,
would want him dead, because his family made their wealth up from the mafia. They were rum runners and molasses runners in the turn of the century, which was all mafia based. So that does seem a little odd that they would want him out. So
well,
And
they also came up with a theory on the Rockefellers. The Rockefellers actually like put a hit out on him.
why would they want
Because
him dead?
because some of the new Federal Reserve information that was coming out was going to like really like affect them greatly, and so they're like, nope, we want him out of office. We just want him dead, and we don't want anybody like following this trend. So
well,
I don't
and
know,
then
there's all kinds of conspiracy theories around Kennedy.
and
Well, I do think that it was a grudge against the family, because it got him
Oh, yeah.
and his brother. So there was something about the family that pissed somebody off royally.
they
But
always say Russia or Cuba or retaliation for the Bay of Pigs, and
Yep, all that's
why is the Bay of Pigs called the Bay of Pigs?
because there was so much violence and blood.
Oh, how come pigs get blamed for all the blood?
Well, I don't know what to tell you. The same reason people pick out conspiracy theories.
I think they're fun to talk about when you've had like a couple of adult beverages and you're relaxed, and the people you're around are just kind of boring. So you're trying to stir the pot and make the night interesting. I like,
Mhm.
but I just don't. I grew up on conspiracy theories. My dad knew all of them. Everybody in my family knew all of them, it seems like, and they talked about them a lot. And
So what
and
other
I
ones
could,
did they talk about?
oh, like Russia, what the commies were going to do, and what's interesting is a lot of things that my dad talked about when I was growing up as a kid have come true. I mean,
Wow.
about how foreign countries have come in and bought up all the property, and
Mhm.
the large majority of the commercial properties in the United States is not owned by United States
Mhm.
citizens. And the recessions, the way they've hit us, and how they've hit us with gasoline. That was our first real big, y'all remember the lines, and we
Oh
had to
yeah.
go even and odd days to get gas.
Yeah.
And the fact that they were going to do things to always keep us upended and in fear mode. And we pretty much have lived that way, upended in fear mode with a few year periods of calmness, but not a lot, you know? So
I don't know.
I
I
think
guess
the
I'm more
biggest,
lighthearted because I think Roswell,
oh, I love
you
Roswell.
know, I just think that's my conspiracy theory that I like to follow.
Are we going to talk about that? I went to Roswell a couple of
Oh,
years
same
Really?
here.
ago. I got so sick. The minute we crossed county line, I started getting really bad nausea and vertigo. And Scott's like, well, do you want to go check in somewhere or something? I'm like, no. So we went into the downtown area. We went to the museum they had. And I swear to you, I had two people following me through the museum. We documented it. Very tall, very thin men,
Yeah.
but I never could get a clear look of their faces. And finally, we never did. And the museum is so cheesy. Oh my God, it is so cheesy. I mean, it looks like something a bunch of sixth graders put together with paper mache and shit. And so I'm like, finally, I'm like, I can't do this. I am so ill. We got in the car. I said, I have to get away from here, you know? And the minute we hit county line again, I was fine.
There's a weird
So,
energy like all that surrounds Roswell. There really is. And I've only felt that one other time. It was actually here in Texas.
ooh, where?
And I cannot remember. I'm gonna have to look at my notes. But there were, I mean, there were quote unquote sightings and historical records of a spacecraft. They actually have a UFO conference in this place like every
Is it
single
Marfa?
year.
Are you talking about Marfa?
It's not Marfa. It's not
There's
Marfa.
a place in East Texas where there a huge sighting, and there was a documentary on Netflix about it that was interesting.
I think that might be it. Okay. But there's a place that it is just outside of downtown that I got the same feeling. It was like there was something here. I mean, there was that energy or that kind of like that uneasiness. The energy was just off. It was like the polarity of the place had shifted. But no, I've been to Marfa. I mean, I've seen the lights. I think they're amazing. I think they're fantastic. Um, but yeah, I mean, like I said, there was only one other place that I felt Roswell energy.
I feel that way every time I'm around Lulu.
Maybe she's
Am
an
I
alien we don't know
alien
about.
now?
Well, I cannot tell you how many people from the metaphysical community have told me, like when they're doing like impromptu readings, or just they'll come up to me and go, you're angel, you have angel DNA. And I'm like, okay, so if you're telling me if I have angel DNA, you're telling me I'm Nephilim, and the Nephilim were not well thought of.
No,
So I really don't want to have any angel DNA.
What is
Thank you very much.
your blood RH?
Be positive.
Okay. Someone told me that most people who are B negative have angel DNA.
Well, I used to be B negative,
What?
and yeah, this is a weird story. I used to be B negative, and when we got pregnant with Joshua, where your body sees the fetus as an invader and it starts
Right.
attacking it, and they have to give you that shot.
Right.
Well, I had the shot, and so I was able to get through that pregnancy, but I had a really difficult time with him, and he was born jaundice and all this stuff. We had a lot of difficulties. And then when you have that shot, it's supposed to correct that problem for any future pregnancies, but it didn't. I had to have the shot again with Caitlin. So with both of my children, my body tried to reject them. So take that for what it's worth. So
Yeah, that's what happens when when you are a negative blood type.
well, I'm B positive now. I think I'm pretty sure I'm B positive. Seems like the way I remember it is Scott is A negative, and I'm B positive to help him. So you
I'm
have to
like
be positive to help the A negative. I don't know, but
O
anyway.
positive or something like that. I'm a universal donor, whatever O
Yeah.
is. So
Well,
Oh
O
man.
negative is the
So
universal.
that's its
that's
whole conspiracy theory that people like you get kidnapped and then they use you as milk cows to sell your blood. That's a whole nother conspiracy.
Yeah,
So
well,
do you think people that are being hijacked for experiments?
like for UFOs? Oh yeah, I do.
Well, that's a conspiracy theory, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
It's not really a conspiracy though. It's just, either it's happening or it's not, and you either believe it or you don't.
well, I mean, if you want to go, I mean, I have a guide that is actually extraterrestrial. And so information that he's given me has actually, I mean, to me, I believe there's probably about 270,000 different species of aliens that have either visited or are currently here on this planet. Okay. Do I think they look like us? Some do, some don't. Okay. Do I think that some of them have an agenda? I certainly think that some of them have an agenda,
Well,
you
wouldn't they
know?
all have an agenda to want to be here?
Well, I mean, an agenda of like either just like being here on vacation and experiencing it, other than
That's what
like
they're on
taking it and
vacation.
trying to, abscond with your DNA to make their race better. I mean, that's what I mean by agenda.
Well, what's interesting, now I do like to listen to these stories sometimes when I don't have anything else better to do, is talking about are they extraterrestrials or are they angels? Because in the Bible, it does talk about the fact that some of the fallen angels came to earth and taught men about herbs and magic and how to do healing and how to make tools and things of that. So was it angels doing that or was that actual extraterrestrials? And is that how the pyramids got built? And, so,
Well, I mean, if
which
you
is
take it
it?
back to the ancient Babylonian historical, facts, I mean, the whole stories about the Anunnaki, which was a space, a
Mhm.
space race, came to, the Earth, and that's when they started doing the experimentations and so on and so forth, and that's how we got the DNA that we have now. They're the ones
And
that
why we're
came up
not
with the
monkeys?
stories.
And
Yeah,
why we're not monkeys?
yeah,
Is
yeah,
that
we're not monkeys.
the alien species that had the elongated head?
They were known as the black-headed ones.
Oh,
The
okay.
black-headed.
But with
Well,
black hair, black-headed. But
and
they
a
were
lot of
very,
people
very
think,
tall.
well, the fiery chariot in the Old Testament, Jacob's
Yep,
wheel, they think that that was an extraterrestrial,
spaceship.
yeah,
Sighting?
thank you. Yeah.
Yeah. I
It
mean,
makes,
every single civilization, known civilization to man right now, okay, has an account of some sort of flying vehicle or fiery chariot or a disc or a cigar or something like that in its pictographic, you know, history, and even inside the cuneiform language, there's actual symbols for a spacecraft, you know. So, some people say, well, are aliens actually angels? Well, I think the concept that it's very possible that there could be angels, you know. But I also think that there's a concept that, hey, it could be that they were aliens that just, had angelic presence and that magic presence or whatever else like that. So we could go either way with it.
I can remember as a child, we lived about a mile from the airport in Texarkana. And I can remember laying out at night in the backyard and watching the lights from the airport shine on the sky and thinking, I wish my people would come get me and take me home. Literally, and then I would think, who are those people? But I just always felt like I was just waiting for someone to come get me, that I didn't really belong here. And I still kind of feel that way.
You know?
I never felt like I fit in.
Yeah. I mean, that's a common feeling. It's a very, very common feeling for a lot of people. It's just like, what am I doing here? Why was I put here?
Yeah.
So,
Mine was just that I don't fit here, and there's so much more I could be doing and exploring if I had a better environment, and if I had someone that I could lean on and guide me and stuff.
yeah.
I always just felt like I was the Lone Ranger, and there was information I needed to gather, and I didn't know where to go gather it, type thing. If
Well,
that
I've
makes
had
sense.
experiences where I know that I've been, taken aboard a craft of some sort, and we had conversations. But I also can tell you quite vividly, that I had a near-death experience and I experienced heaven. So,
Me too.
it's like, what's the reality, I think that I don't think I wouldn't call it a conspiracy theory that, there's people that, go to heaven and, they think, oh, well, I was taken aboard the mothership, to make that correlation, because to me, it was a completely different energy. I mean, I know that. So, I mean, like I said, I've had both experiences.
Okay, so you kind of brought it up. I'll go out on that limb on tiptoe. So I told you the experience I had at Roswell.
Mhm.
Okay. And people seem to accept that experience when I tell it. They're like, yeah, yeah, I get that. That makes sense. But I had the exact opposite experience when I went to Carlsbad Caverns.
Mm.
So we went there the next day. And we got there late, and we had like a, very limited time to get there before they were going to close. And I was like, Russia's got go, hurry, hurry, hurry. And he goes, well, we can do it on the next trip. I'm like, no, I have to go. I have to go. I said, either make this car go faster or I'm getting out and I'm running. I felt this incredible sense of urgency. And we got there in time that we wouldn't be able to go down the stairs, which I wasn't going to do at that time anyway with these knees. But we rode the elevator down, and I closed my eyes, and I told Scott, I said, I'm going to tell you where the trail goes. And I described the trail through the caverns. And then we got to a certain point, and I started crying. And I said, I want you to look up. I said, do you see that rock formation? And do you see that rock formation? And do you see that rock formation? And he goes, yes. And I said, look very closely, and you'll see the outline of wings where there's 3 on each side. And I was here for that battle.
Yeah.
There was a
Wow.
battle here. There was a
Well, that's called the
battle
Well
here.
of Souls.
Really?
That's an actual place in the Carlsbad Caverns. It's called the Well of Souls. It is known to be one of like a major vortex. They call it a heavenly vortex.
Well, I didn't know that. I didn't have any really knowledge of that at all. And I was able to describe that entire cavern as we
Mhm.
walked through it. And I wept the whole time I was there.
Well, there's experiences that are recorded about people that have like been led to that area in the complete darkness.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Wow.
for
And
some,
there was,
for, go ahead.
I was gonna say, isn't there a story about some pioneers that were moving out west that went there, and that's where they took shelter?
Yep.
And that's how we discovered that to begin with.
Hmm.
So I've never had such an incredible in body, because I stayed in my body, which was weird, that to have an in body spiritual experience as I did there. And there was no vertigo. I actually was shocked that I could not fly in that moment.
What?
Yeah.
I believe it. I totally believe it. Want to talk conspiracy theory? I mean, they say that there's upwards of 1,000 people that have just vanished inside of the Carlsbad Caverns.
I would believe that.
But here's the thing, okay? There were people that would swear up and down that they went in with someone, but they didn't know who they went in with.
I would believe that too.
And it's like they
Because
came out and were like, what?
that's where I picked up my angel. I have an angel. I didn't tell anybody about it for years. I thought, because I literally have thought I've lost my mind several times. And through different relationships in my prophetic ministry and my Christian group, I have had it confirmed by at least 6 people. I have a 30-foot angel that hangs out with me. So I'm willing to accept that as a fact. And that's where I picked him up at. He came home with me. And he calls himself Ignatius. I named my dog after him. I call her Iggy. And I figured that was kind of safe to do because I found myself talking out loud to him often. And I call him Iggy. And I'm like, well, this way I can just tell people I'm talking to the dog. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm
He's
having a
real
business conversation
snarky.
with my dog, so just leave it alone.
He's real snarky. He's got a wonderful sense of humor. He has protected me physically in situations that make no sense. And again, when I talk, either people accept that I have a deep spiritual experience that goes on in my life almost daily, or they think I'm nuts, and I don't care. That's my conspiracy theory. figure it out. I don't care what you think. This is my reality. And I know I'm very unhappy when I feel disconnected from my spiritual self and my
Mhm.
spiritual connections. So anyway,
People are always telling me you should write a book, like from some of the experiences that you've had. I mean, they're like, we cannot believe that, you're still here, and I believe it. I believe that, I mean, that there's purpose and reason for why I'm supposed to be here. People have asked me, why haven't you just given up? Why, because I was like, I'm not done yet. I'm just not done yet. I'm
mm-mm.
sorry. There's something more for me. I mean,
Did
it's
you
like
were
I could
you
probably
given a
try.
choice? Were you given a choice when you had your near-death experience? Did they say you have a choice?
No, actually, I wasn't. I
So you
wasn't
just came
because
back.
no, I was the one that was arguing. I want to go
What?
back. I want to go back. I want to go back.
Oh,
I want to go
oh.
back.
I was given a choice.
Well, let me tell you about my experience because when I passed, they put me in a room full of televisions.
Oh,
Okay.
that's interesting.
On some of the televisions, it was replaying parts of my life, and it was showing me the times that, like, there was intercession. Okay, whether it be angels or whether it be just spirit or whether it be whatever, that it was like, this was you having that experience, and this is what was actually going on. Okay. And then other experiences were things that were happening in the future. Okay. And like I foresaw a lot of different things. I saw me graduating from college, in 2 years, and I was taking a 4-year degree. But I was unhappy and I was like unsatisfied. And, I just was like, but that's a good thing. And they're like, no, it's not a good thing. So you have a chance to correct it if you want to. Well, I didn't. I mean, and so, I mean, long story short, I was engaged to a woman at the time. She wanted me to be finished in 2 years because she was graduating earlier than I was. So she wanted me to graduate with her. Okay. So I did all that. And I worked my ass off, I had a 4.0 grade point average and everything else like that. Had a full ride to Scotland, if I wanted to take it. And she convinced me not to go.
Oh,
Okay. And so graduated, so on and so forth. And my whole thought was, I'm going to get a job and, everything's going to be set. Well, I could not find a job like you. I mean, it was so tough. And so I got offered a job in Texas here. And I said, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And she's like, bye. Come to find out that her father had been subsidizing her for her entire life. I mean, she was making $2,500 to $3,000 a month, because daddy was giving her an allowance. And when she brought it up to him that she wanted to move out of state, he goes, well, you can either move out of state or you can forego your allowance.
mm.
And so guess
So
what?
her whole family's about blackmail, aren't they?
So yeah. Anyway, but I mean, as far as the screens go, okay, there were some that had static on it. And those are the screens that caught my attention because I was like, well, what's happening there? And they're like, it hasn't been formulated yet.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, but I want to see, I want to know what's going on. They're like, well, okay, but you're here. You're not going to see that. And I'm like, no, I got to go back. I have to go back because I need to see what is on that screen. I have to see how my life is going to turn out. I have to see what is transpiring. And they're like, but you're here. And I was like, I don't care. I don't care. And I don't know if I created it or manifested or what, but I literally got this huge big remote and I started turning the channels. And there was that one point that those channels turned and I saw something and it was like, I clicked on it and I saw myself getting married. And I was like, oh, I want to go back. I want to go back.
Did you
Now
see who
that's
you were getting married to?
nope, didn't show me, but that's something that I wanted in my life. And so I was like, if I don't go back, I'm going to miss out on it. Okay. So I came back. And I mean, that's what's kept me here is I will go to sleep sometime and a television screen will pop up and it has static on it. And I will sit there and I will focus on it until the screen like comes into play or I switch the channel.
So weird how many similarities you and I have had in our experience. I got blackmailed about going to college and I didn't go. I had a full ride at an Ivy League school, full ride.
Mhm.
And I didn't even really realize what I had walked away from until years later. A friend of mine's husband, who was head of the psych ward with the Veterans Hospital in California, in one of the cities there, he was talking to me about it and he goes, I heard this. And I said, yeah. He goes, do you have any idea how extraordinary you are to have gotten that scholarship? I'm like, no, a lot of kids got scholarships. He goes, yeah, but you got one to an Ivy League school. Do you have any idea what that means? And I think that was like a pivotal turning point for me to start seeing myself in different ways, in different lights, and appreciating myself. But in my near-death experience, I was so happy to be there.
Mhm.
But my grandmother and my dead husband and my dead brother were all there. And they go, you can come in and we're ready to take you in. And I could see all these people just kind of walking around. And I don't know if they were like waiting for a number or what, but there was like thousands and thousands of these, it's like looking into a light. And so you can just see the silhouettes and stuff. And I could see my family very clearly, though. I could even feel them physically, and they were hugging me and all this stuff. And then I'm like, okay, I'm ready. And all of a sudden, my grandmother stopped and she turned me around. She goes, you have a choice. And I said, yeah, but this is nice. This is wonderful. This is joy,
I really
you know?
like this.
And she goes, well, but you have a choice. But I'm going to tell you, if you make the choice to go back, you've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah.
And I'm like, well, why would I choose that? And then all of a sudden, I heard a roaring. And I went, oh, I got to go back. So I came back. And there's a whole nother story that goes with all that, very in depth, but it's not a conspiracy. It's just what happened to me. So let's go back to the conspiracies.
What? We diverged? No.
I know. Why do we do that? How does that happen?
I think that we're more of the type of people that just run with a thought, and then we just let it take us where we want to go. I don't think that we're so structured that it's just like, okay, back on task, and that's what I really like about the podcast is that we kind of have the freedom to do that, and we talk about the things that are just like really important to us right at that moment. So we can have a plan, but I think that, I mean, every single podcast that I've been on that we've gotten off topic has always turned out to be amazing. So,
I agree with you. I will say this, the conspiracy that I'm kind of interested in is because it's turning out not to be a conspiracy anymore. Is, for years we've heard about the conspiracy of child trafficking and molestation in Hollywood and
Mhm.
among the rich and famous. And we're starting to see that. And I'm interested in that strictly from the standpoint, are we seeing justice finally coming to the forefront, or are we watching the beginning of a witch hunt?
I think it's both.
I do
I think it's
too.
both.
I do
Because here's
too.
the thing, because you have people that are coming forward saying, hey, I have been, molested, I have been sexually abused. But then you have those people who are trying to force other people to like quote unquote come out of the closet and say, I've been done the same way. Okay. And it's just like it's like, but I don't want to. I've kind of dealt with that. I've gone through therapy and I don't want to relive it. That was 20 some odd years ago. So why should I? you know but we want to make sure that the justice is served and so on and so forth. So now there's like, from the standpoint of the people that were abused, trying to force people out of the closet that they quote unquote know that have been abused as well. So it's like the abusers kind of abusing the abused.
They're especially, well, emotionally specifically,
Yeah.
you
Mhm.
know.
Well,
It was kind of like
it's
when the gay thing. Go ahead, Lulu.
they don't want to be the only one.
Yeah.
They want as many people as possible to speak up.
Yep. I mean,
Now,
I
see
can
that
see
I
that.
took it that it was more of a revenge thing. They want their pound of flesh and they want to make sure they really hammer it down. That's the way I kind of perceived it. But we saw this also in the gay community several generations ago when people started coming out as gay. And then all of a sudden we had the magazines and newspaper articles that were outing people, that weren't ready. And the one that comes to mind is how Rock Hudson was
Yeah.
treated in the media after he got ill, and what a tragedy that was. I mean, he couldn't even get treatment
No.
in France and different places, so there's what's right, and then there's what's for the community, and then there's what's right for the individual. So which comes first, the community right or the individual right?
Well, I think that there are some people that would argue that the community comes first, but I'm a firm believer in your individual right.
Me too. And if someone's already being not persecuted, prosecuted for a crime, do you really need to have 100 more people come out?
Exactly.
So, um, I will say this though, the ones that annoy me are the women that come out and talk about the power diversion because they were in their 20s and, you know, they were molested and that's horrible. I have been raped. I understand the what that does to you, but 30 years later, why haven't you dealt with it?
Right.
Why hasn't there been healing for you? And what are you trying to truly achieve after 30 years? So
Well,
I
if you're
don't think
trying
it
to
was,
get closure, I don't think that that exists.
no, no, but that you can have acceptance and healing,
Yeah, absolutely.
you know.
Well, I
So
kind of thought they were trying to put an end to some people who were still doing it. And so no
it could
one
be
else was caught in.
very much could be, and but how do they know that they're still doing it?
Mhm.
Well, I don't know that they do.
Yeah. So I mean, it's not black and white. And I do believe in justice, but justice comes in different forms. So
If you're poor, if you're rich, justice doesn't exist.
that's what my daddy used to say. And come to find out, my daddy was right about a lot of things that I didn't really pay attention to when I was younger.
Man, that's why do you think I turned to witchcraft?
Because you're a witch? No.
There's other ways to get justice. I'm telling you right now. I don't practice black magic. I do not do that. But I'll tell you what, a truth be known spell works wonders.
That's interesting. So talk to the Christian here. What does that mean exactly, and how does that work?
Well, I mean, I try to keep my energy as clean as possible. Okay. So I don't want stuff coming back to me. I don't want stuff reacting negatively on me, so on and so forth. So I don't go for revenge. I don't try to manipulate. I don't try to control. I don't try to get people to do things that they don't want to do. Okay. And so I always look at from the standpoint, my motto is do no harm. Okay. I can do as much as I will with what I will, but do no harm. And so I always ask myself, so how can this be remedied without harm or me causing harm, like bodily physical damage or whatever. And so I always tend to like go with like the more the spells like the truth be told, okay, or the truth be known, which means that whatever is happening, whatever's going on, it's just going to be manifest to the point where everybody's going to be like, oh, that's what happened, and justice is going to be served by themselves, by their own energy and by the actions that they put forward. Okay.
That's what I call karma.
Yeah, and karma is very similar to that. Okay. But I mean, there's a little bit more of a religious connotation to it because we say that we can build up karma. Okay. Karma is a bitch. Okay. And yes, you can build it up, but karma is an energy. Okay. And so I believe that we aren't tied to karma. Where there are some faiths that think that karma is that's it, period, end of story. Okay. And the caste system, in India, okay, is based on like karmic deals. When I was married to my ex-husband was from India. He was from the Brahmin class, okay, and they were the high ups. So they were the people that have lived lifetimes to pay for their karma. So when they come back here, they're supposed to be leading a very, good life. Okay. Well, we went to a Diwali celebration, which is the Festival of Lights. Um, and I went with my husband at that time. And he started introducing himself, and his last name is, well, it's very big in India, and he is known to be in the Brahmin class. Okay. I saw people that were like, oh, I am too, and engage him on an equal footing. Okay. But I also saw those people that were from a lower caste literally bow down and worship at his feet.
Wow. Wow. That's strong, strong energy.
Okay. I saw like older women come and like literally pull their children away when they found out who he was. Yeah. I mean, and
All right, so
so,
go ahead. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
but anyway, back to the energetics and everything like that. So I try to do no harm. I mean, there are certain things, like I said, you can do. You can separate yourself, you can separate your energy, you can put up that energy barrier. You know, you can take and I do bounce back spells. Okay, then if there's energy that is hitting me that I don't know where it's coming from, I'm like, you can take it back. Okay, do no harm, but here's the energy back. However it comes back to you, so be it. And so I go more that direction than curses and hexes and things like that. For my studies, do I know how to do them? Absolutely. Do I want to put up with the energy feedback that is guaranteed? No, I don't want to do that.
Well, the first thing that struck me is that when you were talking about the truth be told situation, there's a lot of similarities with the Christian faith in that we believe that no matter what's going on, if we are walking in God's will, it will come to good for his purpose. So there's a similarity there I can see. My question, I'm going to ask a silly question. So with everybody talking about cultural appropriation and everything, karma is a very specific religious word in the Hindu religion. So when we as white people use the word karma, aren't we kind of being culturally inappropriate by using that? Because it has a depth that most people don't even understand what it means. And we do not use that word correctly in day-to-day life. We just don't.
We don't. And that's why I kind of break it down to the point of its energy. Okay. Because everything is energy. Whatever you put out there to the universe, whatever you put out there to the world is energy. Okay. Prayer is energy. Miracles is energy. Communicating with spirit is energy. Okay. Prophetic ministry is energy. Okay. Reading tarot or reading, and doing divination, it's energy. Everything is energy. I believe that energy cannot be created nor destroyed. I believe that it just cycles through.
Yeah, I agree with that too.
It's a constant cycle, not only in your life, but in the world as we know it.
Yeah. I mean, and so I always ask, if something's going wrong in my life, I was like, where's your energy? Because,
well,
go ahead.
Taking it back to conspiracy, there's a lot of little conspiracies that affect the quality of our life daily. Like I was talking to my stepmother the other night, and she literally believed that President Biden last year was going to take away all of our guns. And so my dad was a gun collector. I mean, I wish I just had a small percentage of those guns, but she took all of his guns and got them sold because she didn't want to lose them and lose out on that. When we were children, the conspiracy that I think that was perpetuated on us is like, oh my gosh, the Russians are going to bomb us. Let's all crawl under our desk so that we can live the A bomb, outlive the A bomb under that desk, Or they would tell people if you wrap yourself in a white sheet, the white sheet would reject the radiation. And it would reflect it, So we have tons of tiny, tiny little conspiracies. Let's call them what they are, lies.
Mhm.
They're just lies. And I think that that is probably one of the most distressing things it's going on in this country is how all of the politicians, did you hear me? All, ALL, are just lying to us for
Yeah.
no other intention other than the fact that they want to win the election and to have the power that goes with that position. So what do you say to that?
I say you're right. They're all lying to us.
They
Well,
are.
and I think that they're on a platform, okay? And that platform has to align with conspiracy. It has to align with agendas. It has to align with, what a group of people wants or what they desire. Okay. I mean, I think Christian nationalists, hey, if you want to believe that way, go right ahead, but you're not going to push it down my throat. I'm sorry, that's just not going to. Last time it happened, they took back a stub, because I'm not going to tolerate it. I'm not going to tolerate that kind of talk. Okay. You're going to tell me that I'm gay and a witch and I don't deserve to live? Really? Really?
Well, that's not
Okay.
Christian. Let's get real. That's not Christian. I don't know what
Well,
the hell that is, but they're lying. They're lying, especially to themselves, if they call themselves Christian and then believe that that's the right thing for them to do
but
as a
I think
Christian.
that that's the whole ideal is that people actually live conspiracies. They
Yeah,
live
I think that's
inside of
true.
that bubble of conspiracies. And the thing is, once they are vested into that conspiracy, there's like no way out of it. There is absolutely no way that they can get out of doing. I mean, and as far as like Trump and Biden and this and that, so I don't like to talk about politics. But the thing that I have found is when there are people doing interviews with Trump supporters, you have to wonder what is going through their head and what did they drink in order to get them to say the things that they're saying.
Got the answer. I got the answer.
Okay,
I have
what?
part, I have part of the answer. It's language patterns. Language patterns are hypnotic. Okay.
Mhm.
And if
Mm.
you listen to Biden and Trump, they both have very specific
Yeah.
language patterns. Biden's is geared to, can't we all just get along? Let's all just get along and everything's good. He's got that political Pollyanna jargon going, we're best economy we've ever had in years and blah, blah, blah. No, I'm sorry. My grocery bill's gone up 50% every month for the past 6 months. It was
Yeah.
not a
Don't
great
get me started on this. I'm not going to
Okay,
talk
wait a
about
minute.
this, but
Wait a minute. So he's got that pattern. You listen to the pattern and it's hypnotic. He and Trump both are excellent communicators in the fact that they have an agenda and they do it well. Trump fascinates me with his language pattern because he pushes the envelope to right to the edge of the cliff, but he can always jerk it back going, that's not what I said. Like
yeah.
the sentence where he's like, there's going to be a bloodbath if I'm not elected. Well, that's just a metaphor, right? But yeah, here's what gets me. The media now has their own agenda going on because they're going to
Mhm.
promote that he has now said we're going to have a bloodbath. There's going to be anarchy. There's going to be civil war. Well, maybe there will be, maybe there won't be. But why are they promoting it by even suggesting it? So, and then Trump's over here going, well, yeah, I said that, but that was just a metaphor. Everything he says is just a metaphor, you know? It has a
So if
connotation.
everything's just a metaphor, how can you believe anything that comes out of the man's mouth?
Exactly. Exactly. And if everything's good and there is no bad, how can you believe Biden? Because there is good and bad everywhere, you know?
Well,
And
I,
so we
I
can't
think that,
believe
that when
any
you
of
look
them.
at speech patterns and things like that, okay, Biden definitely has a speech pattern. He
Oh,
does.
yeah.
Okay. He has a speech pattern of how he wants to like get things across. Okay. Trump, same thing, same exact thing. However, he skirts on the gray, which means that if I don't agree with what I said later on, I always have an out that I can say, oh, I can reel that
Yep.
back and make
Yep.
make it okay. Typical narcissistic behavior. But
Right.
Yeah. What's funny is that Biden and Trump are the political equivalent of the Good Omens characters.
yeah,
You know, I mean, and then you have media and media. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I don't really even think I know who controls the media anymore. I used to think I did.
The
I think
person
there
with
are
the
law.
deepest pockets,
Do what?
the people with the deepest pockets.
Yes, I think it's the advertisers.
Yeah, definitely, without a doubt.
Uh, I think that that is somewhat a conspiracy theory when we talk about how do we take back Congress? Well, another civil war.
Hmm.
So,
Well,
I mean,
what does a civil war look like? Does it have to be military based or can it be social based? Can it be ethically based? Can it be morally based? What does that look like? See, again, everybody uses these words and they think that they know what they mean, but they don't know what they mean.
I don't think it means the same thing it did in whatever year that was.
At the Civil War time, yeah, no, I don't think so either. Okay.
Well, we had a
But the thing
civil war
is,
here in the
there are
60s.
people out there that when they hear Civil War, it's just war. It's violence.
Yeah,
It's we have
yeah.
to do everything that we possibly can in order to overthrow the government because we're not happy.
But we had civil war in the 60s in this country. I mean, when you
Mhm.
have a military troop that fires on unarmed college students, hello, can you, anyone besides me remember Kent State?
Yes.
That's a
Kent
civil
State.
war in action. And we were very effective with our walks and our protests and stuff like that. They have no impact anymore. We've done them so much that they do not impact. The only thing that is impactful at this point, it seems to be, is money.
Mhm.
Well,
Money.
how about your vote? Don't keep voting for the same man all the time and
Give me
expect
someone to vote
him-
for, Luann. Give me someone to vote for. Who am I going to
Yeah,
vote
we
for?
don't have anybody to vote for. I even looked at the independent um,
Candidate.
I was going to say
Candidates.
contestants.
Contestants.
Yeah, it's a game show. That was spot on. Game show.
And there's so many negative things about the woman that's running and
Mm-hmm.
how she's just kind of out there. But maybe the man would be, I mean, isn't it Robert Kennedy Jr. that's running?
Yeah, the Kennedys are coming back or trying to. That's a kind of an interesting concept to me. After
Yeah.
all these years of silence, we have a Kennedy that wants to be back out front.
Right.
So I'm kind of rooting for him a little bit just because of the dynamics, you know. But I don't really know much about him or what he stands for or if he could even be. See, here's the thing. Being president is powerful, but it's not. Jimmy Carter's a perfect example of that. He was the kindest, most ethical man we've ever had in office, I think. And he was one of the most ineffective presidents we had
Mhm.
because he couldn't get anybody on his side and he couldn't get anybody to support him. He couldn't get anybody to vote with him. And he refused to use his executive power to override a lot of things.
Well, I just still think that if you don't like the way the government's going, stop voting for the same people as senators and representatives and
Term
stop.
limitations needs to be done. We need something besides a two-party system. That's not working anymore. We are too diverse as a culture and as ethnicities and all this other stuff. Two is not enough. It doesn't work.
I got my next t-shirt. I just got
Oh
my
yeah.
next t-shirt. Okay. You want change in America? Elect a witch.
Oh my God. I want one that says, if you want change in America, elect a bitch.
Well, that too. That too. I mean, because it could
Elect
be
me.
synonymous. I mean, come on.
Elect me. Hello. I always thought I'd make a good president,
Okay, do it. I'll support you.
you know?
We could do a write-in campaign.
Yeah, why not?
Oh my gosh, wouldn't that be hilarious? So what other things are there conspiracies out there? It's more than just politics and religion and stuff. I think that here's what gets me. I think everything that comes out of people's mouths lately is the result of these small conspiracies because people just spout things on social media that like they're truth and they have not researched them. They have no
No.
facts to support them, no statistics like well, Japan's smarter than we are. Well, maybe they are. But are they really? Or are they just more efficient because they're focused where they can make things happen. Also, they're a little bitty tiny country. You could put them in the DFW area, basically. It's easier to monitor that and to control that. I mean, we're not comparing apples to apples here. So I hear things that people spout, and I'm like, why do you believe that?
Yeah.
Why? What's in you? And the people that okay, here's my trigger. What do you mean by that? Or, well, Google it. Because I like to. I'm trying to improve my vocabulary. So every day I try to use a new word on Facebook, and I swear to you, I get at least 2 to 3 messages a day going, "What does that word mean?" I'm like, if you want to know, why are you taking the time to write to me? Just Google it.
Look it up.
Look it up, you lazy. And then I had one person tell me I had a duty and a responsibility to tell people what that word meant, because I was responsible for the quality of my communication, and it was my job to make sure everybody understood what that word meant. And that
You
was pretty
use
much my response. That
you
was
use
pretty
the
much my
word you use the word correctly in a sentence. That's your only responsibility.
They don't even know if I'm doing that right. They need to look the word up. Maybe I got it wrong. But they're reading me. They're reading me. So I should use my power for good and not silliness, maybe. I don't know. But I don't even know what good is anymore on social media.
Well, when we talk about conspiracy theories, especially when I was reading the thing about the doomsday, I don't want to go around gloom and doom all the time.
No. No.
It's more important to be upbeat and happy, and do what I say is take the high road. That's about not coming out and punishing someone and getting revenge for something they've done.
Exactly. I have a family member. I actually have several that have high anxiety, and they watch a lot of things and they read. They're extremely intelligent people, extremely, and they study these conspiracy theories. And there is a lot of facts, because I have deep conversations with them about. There's a lot of facts in some of these conspiracy theories. There's a lot of things that validate them, but I always go back to, like, okay, what if you die today? Who cares? So if you think the world's coming to an end, if you think that we're going to get blown up, if you think the communists are coming back full force and we're going to be a socialist country or a communist country, whatever, what about today? Where's your quality of life today? And and I don't do it like I should, or like I want to, because I want to just put it out of my mind. But live is like I'm going to go to bed tonight and I'm not going to wake up. Did I have a good day today? Do I like this? Is this really the day I want to wear it emblazoned on my t-shirt, or like, this is what I did the last day I lived? Look, God. He's going like, really? You sit around and bitched all day long? I don't think
Yeah,
so.
what good does that do?
It doesn't. It really doesn't. But it's hard because I can feel people's oppression and their energy and their depression and their lack of hope. And I don't know, it's like people don't know what is quality anymore, quality of life.
Well, I mean, what is quality of life? I mean, it's subjective. I mean, what society has taught us is that we really can't have a quality of life because of XYZ, or whatever. My quality of life is, again, like I said, I manage my own energy, period. I can't manage your energy any more than I can, manipulate, my dog pooping on a schedule. It's just, you can't do it. You just can't do it. So as long as you're controlling this right here or managing this right here, that's it. That's all you can do. Okay.
All right, so that's what we're going to talk about next week. I think that's our subject for next week. Quality of life. I'm writing it down.
Quality of life. Okay, quality of life.
Quality of life.
Good to write it down.
Well, okay.
I'll write it down. I'll lose it. I'll call Luann and go, what were you talking about?
You go ahead and write, Deborah, because you're interrupting me. So what I wanted to say is that, okay, your shit is your shit. My shit is my shit. We're not going to mix shit. Okay. That's my philosophy in life.
Ew, I just got a visual of that.
Exactly. And it's gross, isn't it?
It's gross. Well, that just bums me out to even think about it. Ugh. Say
No,
something uplifting now. Say
it's the
something
truth.
uplifting.
It's the truth. You
It
can
is the
only
truth, but say
manage you.
something positive now.
Well, I did not realize how I was not living in the moment for the last 3 months.
Hmm.
November, December, January, and February, part of February, I
That's
wasn't
full.
connected to anything.
Yeah.
I was depressed. And then when the doctor helped me out and added some medication to my list, 3 or 4 days later, I was like, man, I was really down. I was not participating in anything.
Freaking amazing.
Okay, so here's a conspiracy theory I'm going to start. They're promoting that we always drink bottled water because it's more pure. But if you do a study of water through the tap, it has lithium in it and antidepressants. Maybe we would all be happier if we drank tap water because we would be self-medicating.
Well, that's the reason why antibiotics don't work most of the time, is because there's so much of it inside of the water that we drink from the tap.
Oh, gross.
I
All
know.
right.
Yeah.
Somebody say something happy and uplifting so we can end on a good note. Y'all are bumming me out.
I love your hat.
Thank you. I haven't
I
ever
don't
had
like.
a red hat before.
I've seen you wear one before, but I don't think you've ever wore one on the podcast without I've been.
Well, I just got
participating.
this recently. I got it a couple months ago. But I didn't have a red hat before that. So
You look like a Mountie.
a Canadian Mountie. I'm
Okay,
Dudley
how
Do
about
Right.
I'm thankful. I'm thankful. I'm an herbalist and I believe in herbs, but I'm thankful for this RX prescription, this medication
Oh yeah.
that has allowed me to maintain normal neurons or neurotransmitters in my brain.
I'm
And-
all
and-
about herbs. I dated a herb. He was a great guy. Herb was great.
Herb was great. I've
I
dated a
like
lot of
calling
guys that like Herb.
I like calling him Herbert.
Oh, good Lord.
That was his name, Herbert.
Herbert.
Say it, it's fun. Herbert.
Herbert.
You can't say it regularly. You have to go Herbert.
I know. It's like a frog. Hello,
Herbert.
Ribbit.
Herbert.
And then the next guy I dated called me Miss Piggy, so it was like just a natural progression.
Like Kermit.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't think I'm a depressed person, but I think I'm a very pragmatic, practical person as far as what I understand about the world. But when people just leave me alone and quit trying to push my buttons, I am pretty silly. Scott told me that the other day. He goes, I love it when you're laughing, when you're silly. And I said, I do it all the time when I'm in the car by myself. It's you
'Cause I crack
people that
myself up.
bug me. You people.
You people.
I love being silly and I like making stupid jokes. I like being sarcastic, you know. And it's just like, oh, let me just point this out. So Matthew calls me on the carpet. I interrupted him. I did. Well, you know what? I do it all the time. Why did he have to call me out this time? Who cares? You apologize and you go on with your life. It is what it is. But I've been watching people and they get their shit bent out of shit bent out of shape, and then they take personal offense. He
Yeah.
stated a fact. I interrupted him. It's rude. That's a fact. I apologize. That's a fact. Now he can either accept my apology or not accept my apology, and I don't care. We're gonna go on.
I accept your apology. I mean, it didn't affect my life one way or shape or form. I just pointed it
That's
out.
why do people get so bent out of shape? I don't get it. So
I think
So-
that sometimes I know when I get started talking about herbs, Matthew can
You
attest
go.
to this,
And I love it. I love
I
that.
don't shut
I was
up.
so passionate. I loved it.
But I think also if he had a point, you should say, well, hang on just a minute. I need to talk. What's
Well-
wrong with that?
But I do remember, because we were talking about it, and you started down the path because we were talking about like
Down the
herbal
path.
medication for ADHD and so on and so forth. Okay. And I was trying to say, well, I have to be careful because some of medication, or not medications, probably the herbs that you were recommending are contraindicated for some of the transplant medications that I'm on. Okay.
Mhm.
And so it took me like a half hour to be like, time out. I'm not going to be able to take those.
So I have a suggestion. When she's talking about herbs, we should smoke some herb.
So you can
And
tolerate my talk?
well, we'll just be laid back and like, man, yeah, we love herbs. Yeah, actually, I can't smoke. What is that? That's not what that looked like when it was blurred.
It's a pink tampon. No,
That's what it looks like, or
no,
something else. Okay,
it's weird.
so here's a kind of a fun fact. Pot has no effect on me. My children have made it their life goal since they have been 18 to get me high. And so I did do pot when I went to Washington, and then I did pot again with my son when we were going to a concert one night. I don't get high. And I don't know if this is true or not, but my daughter says is that actually getting high from pot is actually the result of having an allergic reaction to it. That's what makes
Hmm,
us high. And so I'm not allergic to it, is her thoughts. I haven't researched it because I don't really care that enough
that's
to do it.
interesting. Either that or
So,
the chemical reaction in your body is different, because I know that the pot for me it really doesn't do anything. I've
mhm.
smoked one joint where it made me like paranoid as all get out. Okay. Other times it's just like, let me go to sleep. Okay.
Yeah,
But
it doesn't do anything to me.
CBD, I mean, because it's a different chemical,
Different.
CBD, like in the Delta 9, works great for me.
Doesn't me either. That doesn't. Like Benadryl will help
Mhm.
you make me sleepy. Not me. I'm wired for sound. And so things that are supposed to make you sleepy wire me up. Things that are supposed to wire you up make me sleepy. I can drink caffeine all day long, all night long, go to sleep. I'm good. So
Well,
I don't get it.
they have proven that there are certain genetic markers that
Mhm.
see that caffeine does not bother you.
No,
So we're back to me being Nephilim.
Yep.
Nice way to close up the circle.
there you go. Mhm.
I am some kind of weird mutant.
Well,
I,
caffeine doesn't bother me either. So
Well, okay, so here, I want to end on this. This is how I'm ending this, okay? Deborah, you and I need to introduce Luann to Lavazza.
to what?
Yes, yes,
Lavazza?
yes,
Lavazza
yes,
coffee.
yes. Oh my gosh.
Well,
Oh
I
my
mean, I told
gosh.
you that it's amazing. You'll never want to go back to any other coffee until you've had Lavazza. When you've had Lavazza, you're like,
Yes, yes.
It
we'll
was
meet there
That's
heaven.
all I can
someday.
say. That was so good.
It was
Oh my,
amazing.
it was an orgasm in my mouth.
Well, there was other things that were there too, that, kind of like the lasagna was amazing. The bread was amazing.
I had
God,
multiple orgasms that day in my mouth.
yeah, and she was sitting with a gay man, so the food had to be great.
You know how Scott refers, you know how Scott refers to you? You're my second husband, so I now have fulfilled my dream of having brother husbands.
There we go. Oh, brother, husband.
Oh my Lord. Okay.
I love it. I just manifested it. And so
Well,
I said, because he's always said, if you could figure out a way to have brother husbands and it not threaten me, feel free. So here I am,
well,
manifesting queen.
well, fruit fly. You can both can be my fruit flies.
As long as you don't swat me,
No, no,
unless
no.
you're gonna swat me hard, make you like
Well,
you mean.
I'll bring my paddle for that. So
Ooh, I got a real good one made out of some African wood. It's hard. It's hard stuff. You can't crack that with anything. It's hard, hard, hard. It was custom made for me because Lord, no, I needed help, right?
I had a fluffy paddle at one time. That was
Oh,
interesting.
now please, please. All right, Luann, is
Yes.
your website up? Is it up?
No.
It's almost there. It's almost there.
We're so close. We're so close.
She's working on
No,
she's working on descriptions, and I mean, we came up with a kind of a solution to help out with the descriptions, and I think the ones that she's coming up with are amazing. So, I mean, I think that we're almost there.
Do you realize that you're holding me up because you're dragging your feet?
I'm not dragging my feet. I'm working.
She's working. She is really working.
Okay, I forgive you.
I'm not
I,
dragging my
and I
feet.
will say, I mean, I'm going to say this one more time. I am so impressed, Luann, like with like where you've come, like knowing your limitation and saying, okay, wait a second, something's not right here. And then taking the advice and taking, and kind of reformulating your business and reformulating yourself so you know what you're worth now.
Yeah.
And that to me is like the most important thing, because when you realize that, that's what is going to be your brand. That is what is going to drive you and drive sales to you, because people are going to understand that and realize, you are so like, non-GMO, ethically sourced, blah, 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 so on and so forth. I want you to go out there and I really want you to look at other websites that do exactly what you do. And you're going to be hard pressed to find another one that says anything like that. That's your brand. And
Yeah.
you did that. You
Well,
did
Okay,
that.
so
That's how everything started.
okay, so I'm going to take up drinking if you're going to talk about websites and herbs.
Well, I mean, we're going to talk, you and I are going to be talking about websites and things like that too. So, hey,
Yes. Yes. I
Yeah,
heard
but
you
you're my husband, and I have to be submissive to what and listen to what you say.
I don't see her being submissive, so good luck.
Oh, really? Really?
No.
whatever.
What are you doing? What are you doing with your hands?
Whatever. Big W.
Oh, whatever.
So you
Okay.
can get in touch with me at Luann, Luann, at Ancient Herbal Apothecary, which is getting easier to say, .com. ancientherbalapothecary.com.
Ancient Herbal Apothecary.
Yes, and
It's easy.
I do have a Facebook page. It's mostly I'm not using it efficiently at this time, but Ancient Herbal Apothecary.
And if you want to friend her on Facebook, it's the black and white profile picture because she got hacked.
Yes, my current page is Lou Morris. Just L-U.
It sounds like the name of a comedian. Lou Morris.
What's your email address?
Luann at ancientherbalapothecary.com.
You should have
Awesome.
Lou. You should have Lou as well.
Okay.
We can do that. That's not a problem.
Yeah,
I
you
can
should
set
have
that up for you.
both because that would be confusing.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is. Trust me. All right, Dr. Pierce.
Well, you can get a hold of me. And since we're talking about websites, I'm just going to say Connections Design Studios, connectionsdesignstudios.com. And you can get a hold of me at Matthew at Connection Design Studios, which is a subsidiary company of metaphysicalevents.com. So you can get a hold of me there at Matthew at metaphysicalevents.com and go from there.
Oh, you know what I just realized? I've always wanted to be married to a doctor. Now I'm married to a doctor.
Doctor.
All right, I am Deborah Colleen Rose, and I'm having a crisis. So let me just tell you all the things I do. Miles of Smiles Events is our sponsor for this show because we think we're entertaining sometimes. And Miles of Smiles is an intuitive, inspired entertainment company. I am also Deborah Colleen Rose of DeborahColleenRose.com, where I do spiritual coaching and handwriting therapy. And we'll just listen to you, bitch, if you pay me enough. And I am also lead investigator of Investigative Solutions Group Unlimited. Been doing that for over 30 years, and we will get you the answers you need for either fun, to make great personal decisions, or to make business solutions. Just pick one of the companies and call me. So anyway, we will see y'all later, and we're doing quality of life next week. I hope I don't
Okay.
lose that
Sounds
piece
great.
of paper, so help me remember that.
Okay, quality of life.
All right, everybody wave bye.
Bye now.
Bye.